Dementis' biker horde is composed of many erratic and violent tribes, and as a result, lieutenants are needed to help keep them in line and prevent the factions from destroying each other. However, sometimes the most important thing is to have someone who's good in a fight, and listens to orders without too many ideas of his own. Enter Big Jilly, played by C.J. Bloomfield, the brute of Dementis' horde. Violent and seemingly simple-minded, he can best be described as Dementis' version of Rictus, a brutish figure that doesn't take up much of a leadership role but is a vicious fighter. Dementis always has him present as an enforcer throughout the movie, taking advantage of Big Jilly's intimidating frame. Like most of Dementis' henchmen, Big Jilly doesn't have a ton of screen time, but what's there illustrates his personality pretty well. At the beginning, when they flip the Rue-Billy upside down, Big Jilly shoves Smeg aside coldly to the dogs and is quick to hoist the dying man up with no concern. When the group meets the lone war boy with the flares, he impulsively fires it to the ground without knowing what could be in it or if it's dangerous. During the Gastown riot, he wields a big old sword to push men aside, which looks like it could be a cavalier or a sword, possibly tying into some folklore we'll get to in a second. And before that, he shoots several guards during the Trojan Horse mission. Perhaps his cruelest moment, though, is when Furiosa and Praetorian Jack are captured by Dementis. Jack is strapped to Big Jilly's motorbike and is cruelly dragged across the sand while dogs chase him for hours upon hours, all the while he howls in delight. Dementis even uses him as an example of one of his most brutal warriors, and I don't think he exaggerates when he tells Immortan Joe, Big Jilly is going to scoop you out both ends, mush it up, and feed you back to you. Getting into the origins of the character, there's something not a lot of people might be expecting. Big Jilly was actually transgender in old drafts of the story. According to Colin Gibson, there was an early version where Dementis killed his family and flew across Australia with a plane, crashing and needing a mechanic's help. That engine for the plane was actually part of Dementis' first motorbike. Dementis would run into a trans mechanic named Big Jilly, who fell in love with him and joined along as a traveling companion. Originally, the only named gang members were Smeg and Big Jilly, neither of whom had their own tribes and were just outsiders, though that still probably carried on. There's purposely a lot of Robin Hood influence, as Smeg and Big Jilly were based on Robin Hood's companions, if I had to guess Lil Jon and Maid Marian. Maid Marian for Jilly seems very fitting considering his romantic feelings for Dementis, who would be Robin Hood in this comparison. I'm kind of hoping the Robin Hood influence is why he has that sword I mentioned earlier, as well as the goofy pointed shoes he wears. While Big Jilly isn't trans in the final version to my knowledge, he does retain a lot of femininity. The most startling example I didn't realize until Colin Gibson said it was that Jilly is wearing a kilt during the whole movie around his waist. The long, shaggy hair could also be a purposely feminine trait, and the scene of him kissing a war boy on the head adds further to this idea. Most of all, Jilly itself is a female name, with its original definition being youthful, and is traditionally a nickname for Jill, Jillian, and Julia. Early drafts of the story even have the character's name as Lil Jilly, so maybe they changed it to Big Jilly as they gave him more masculine traits like the beard. Honestly, I think it's more fun to imagine him with these early traits, like being in love with Dementis. A couple of other things worth mentioning is that he might be part of the Rue-Billy gang, who are an inbred redneck Australian group within the biker horde, and they're the guys with skull masks at the beginning. It seems possible, and he was shown while they were mentioned behind the scenes. Also, his bike has bizarre markings on it that might be there to go along with his tattoos, and I'd be interested in hearing how people interpret these. The next video, I'm probably going to do one on Smeg, since I already mentioned him a bit in this one, and he's a very interesting character in and of himself.